Okay, next video. You'll notice that the base, these guys come on fixed, solidly fixed. Is a big round thing. So there's a lot of dead space either side, and I decided that I wanted to rebase mine. But look, the way these are attached, let me pull this off. The holder, this is where those hooves are stuck in. So I decided, well, I did this live on video, kind of made it up as I went on. I ended up rebasing mine on one of these bases, which is comes in Games Workshop mounted figures. So they're narrower, better suited to the horse shape, and I used milliput to build up the base before some homemade mud and some grass on top. Well, not homemade grass, but grass on top. That's what I'm going to do here. So the first thing I did when I wanted to cut down the base, and I found these clippers were pretty good at doing that fairly quickly. Might be worth using high protection just in case, potentially, for this. I don't know. Nothing's really flying off. I mean, if you remember the whole thing, the plastic is relatively soft. There we go. So we lost half of that already. At the other side. All going to get buried under milliput, so I'm not worried about the precision of it. I also want to, oh, wrong neck, yeah, that's why you need goggles. Now, there we go. It even still stands up. Well, that can go in the bin. Not needed anymore. And he'll sit nicely on the base. Now I have decided, in order to make this galloping dude, the manufacturer has moulded some grass underneath front hoof to give it 3 points of attachment to the ground. I'm going to leave that there and disguise it a bit with grass on the finished piece. But what I'm going to do in order to get this to fix to the base is I'm going to use milliput, 2-part epoxy putty, standard. I've already mixed some together to avoid how boring that might be for you to watch, and the base I am just going to score almost imperceptibly, because this is, if if you're going to stick something to a surface like this, it isn't a bad idea to score it, just to give more tooth, as it were, for the whatever material you might be putting on top to stick. So milliput is quite sticky in its early stages, and that's what I'm going to use to begin the process of attaching this to the base. I may not have mixed enough milliput to do what I want to do, so initially I'm just going to make a thin layer at the size of the remainder of the base. And look to see I've got this guy in roughly the right place. Don't need him to come too far back or forward. I'm just going to press that down into the milliput, which will at this point act like an adhesive. And then I'm going to completely embed that base in milliput around the edge. So although it's got some milliput underneath, it's going to have milliput on top as well, so it'll become completely embedded. I might just twist that around slightly, because that's the front, so that he's kind of looking at the front when you look at the base straight on. Day as well. I'm doing all this with my fingers. There will come a time when I need to use some tools to help along to push this into place, but for now the idea being is that when this dries, the milliput will be as hard as a rock, and like this guy, he's not going anywhere. Good as any super glue or anything like that. I'm going to have to be careful because that hoof is directly on the original black base. I'm going to have to make sure the putty goes around there without disguising it. And here I am doing this, anticipating a delivery any moment where the front door will go and all hell will break loose. But it might not happen. Yodel, well, probably won't turn up for a week. So now I've just got a sculpting tool. Anything could be used to start getting the milliput into the more awkward areas. I'm using flat end bits to make sure it doesn't go onto that hoof. And the great thing about milliput though is that you can gently ease it. It's a bit trickier if you're using a commercial bit of groundwork first. I think it works better if you can use something like this before you apply the groundwork proper. So this is kind of building up the contours before adding the groundwork itself. I can already feel that that's, I'm going to keep checking that it's looking nicely upright. I'm going to pull the putty towards the edge. Keep a nice neatness to it. Oh, there we go. Whippets don't bark. There you go. They didn't make a noise, did you? Didn't make a noise. Didn't scare the driver or anything, so that's my new wife, I hope. Right, let's carry on with this before. A little bit of water on my tool, on the sculpting tool, to help encourage it to get to that edge. I think with the milliput as well, because it's essentially an actual rock, because it's made from epoxies that end up having rock-like character. It's got a lot more nicer weight to it compared to the old plastic base on its own, which is a bonus, I think, for when displaying it later on and picking it up, they'll feel more solid, and I think there's always that's why it's nice to often end up putting a display figure on a wooden base, because it feels more presentational, I guess. What we're going to do, I have decided, is I'm going to carry on working on this a little bit longer. So this will hopefully end up around about 20 minutes, and maybe slightly longer, but end up, I've got a little bit of milliput left, I'm not going to waste it. Do the groundwork bits later on, or on a separate one, just to break it down. But you can see here that I built a raised portion just to make a bit of interest on the base on this one, and I might do just some bits and bobs to make it a little bit more irregular, maybe even around that weird grass tufty thing. Raise it up there a bit. I don't think my grass tufts are tall enough to go all the way up there, so it might be good fun to, if I build it up a little bit in height, then when I put grass tufts on it to help disguise it, it's more likely to actually achieve it. I'm not going to sculpt any, I don't think I'm going to sculpt any rock elements in it on this one like on that one. Or shall I? Don't know. Maybe at the back. Oh yeah, damn it. Maybe not. When I was doing this last time live, I think I had some milliput left over, so I rolled it into some balls, little round balls that I could use as boulders and embed in future bases, but I did that. Now I can't remember where those things are. Oh, they're in the drawer. I might pull those out in a minute. Whatever happens with this, these two figures will have the same, both these demo pieces will have the same colour base, so it would be nice if there were any rocks exposed to keep those portions and characters similar. So I'm making a little bit of a, maybe some of that will be just exposed at the back, so rather than at the front high like that, a little bit lower. I can use the sculpting tool to it's certainly a thing I do on quite a few bases now, is to add some almost layered rock effects. Oh, yeah, because that worked quite well on that side as well. So now I haven't got any milliput left. So Right, the other thing you can do, although I'm going to put a layer of stuff on this, you can do some level of texturing this surface with real rocks, which by pressing it into the base, you can create some cool textures that you can't do with a finger or a brush. So the likelihood is my, you can see that. Likelihood is, like the other one, my groundwork isn't going to cover all of this milliput. So if what is exposed has some interesting texture to it as well, that's all good. You can change the edges of the rock to find different surfaces that are interesting. I've got 2 or 3 in a drawer. And another useful thing to make such, this is just rolled up silver foil, scrunched up silver foil I should say, and equally in the absence of a rock, this can work quite well as well. And you could be doing this on any big diorama base. Sometimes you want earth kind of looks, and sometimes you want dust kind of looks, and sometimes you want rock kind of looks. So and then even after that you can go back round and do a little bit more, because the milliput is still slightly, or still very pliable. You can go and do some further rock texturing, sculpting. And at this point I'm going to stop in readiness for part 2 of the base. So join me soon. For that, and just to double check, yeah, he's still looking upright. Yeah. There you go. And so ta-da, part 1, 25 minutes, perfect. Bye bye, see you next time.